Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours of the morning into your edge of financial freedom. Today, I have no headlines. I did have a plan to have a guest on to talk about immersion mining, but this time slot's extremely hard to fill. Looks like he's still asleep for now, so we're gonna dive heavy into this week's data, maybe tease a little bit of next week's data, because next week is going to be a heavy data drop week as well. And then we'll dive into some of these assets this morning. So go ahead, start dropping those TA requests in the chat for me now, because I have nothing but time today. And I had planned on a guest, and we're having no guest this morning. So let's get you prepped for some success today with that stock heat map, and then we'll dive into that economic calendar. We do have that stock heat map pulled up like always. We are seeing some green in the pre-market this morning. I'm quite happy about that because I did some buying on Friday, and it looks like I'm up about 6% so far. We've got Apple sitting to the downside off of its close, just like most things were on Friday. Apple sitting down 1.38, but sitting up 0.6% to this morning in the pre-market. We've got Nvidia sitting down 2.09 off of its close, but up 0.62% this morning. We got Berkshire Hathaway sitting down 0.57% off of its close, sitting in the green this morning, up 0.36. We've got Amazon sitting down 0.53 off of its close, looking to the upside this morning as well, up 0.45. We've got Eli Lilly, one of those outliers for Friday, sitting up 0.9 off of its close, continuing to see some buying pressure this morning, up 0.23. We've got ExxonMobil sitting up 2.18. Oil got a very nice move towards the upside. And as you can see down here, all of those energy minerals sitting in the green. They're continuing to get that pump this morning as well. ExxonMobil sitting up 0.28. We've got Tesla sitting up 1.94 off of its close, sitting up 1.8 in the pre-market. We got PNG sitting down 1.78 off of its close, up this morning 0.04. We've got Microsoft sitting down 0.82 off of its close. In the pre-market, seeing some light buying pressure stepping on in, up 0.19. We've got Google sitting down 0.62. In the pre-market, sitting in that range, up 0.4. Billy would never stick UBC, just saying. Yeah, well, Billy should be coming on tomorrow to do that makeup stream that had got messed up last week. If we're still on for that, Billy, let me know in the chat. We've got Meta sitting down 1.51, and in the pre-market, looking towards the upside, 0.65. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things, because everything's pretty green over there besides Pi and TRX this morning. Let's scroll it on down, because we got Bitcoin sitting up 1.9. We've got Ethereum up 4.2. XRP sitting up 1.8. We've got BNB up 1.3. Solana ripping towards the upside, up 8%. We've got Dogecoin up 1.8. We've got Tron, one of those outliers, sitting down 0.2. We've got Cardano up 3.6. We've also got Hyperliquid ripping towards the upside as well, up 10.7, seeing a little light selling pressure this morning. We do have SWE sitting up 4.4%. We've got Bitcoin Cash up 3.8%. Chainlink up 4.5%. Leo token remaining quite steady, down 0.2% right now. We've got Avalanche taking a spot from Stellar Lumens up 4.6%, and we've got Stellar Lumens up 2.2%. Toncoin sitting up 1.9%, Shiba Inu up 2.3%, and HBAR taking that spot back from Litecoin, sitting on number 20 in the market cap, up 3.6%. For the fear and greeds, we're still sitting in some light greed on both the stock side and the crypto side of things, sitting on 60 for the stock market and up a point, sitting on 61 for the crypto side of things. We do have quite a bit of liquidity on both sides of us on this 24-hour chart. We did take some of that liquidity that was residing directly above us this morning. We still have a little bit more to the upside here, sitting at that 107,700 area. Quite a bit of liquidity up there. Almost 10.5 million. Scrolling on to the bottom side, we have some sitting at $105,000. Zoom this on out. Take a look at that 3-day. We do have quite a bit that is stacked up to the bottom side. So this 3-day, if we get that nice explosive move, might be that move towards the downside. We do have quite a bit of liquidity sitting at 104,000. Ranging all the way to the bottom side at about 103,700 there. So a bit of a range to the bottom side for us to kind of sweep and then try to look back towards the upside on. This 1 week does have all of that liquidity back towards the top of us. So as you can kind of see, as you start to zoom this on out on those time frames, shorter time frame, got that liquidity towards the upside, zooming on out a little bit, got that liquidity towards the bottom side that we could very easily sweep before we try to make it back up towards the more macro liquidity on the top. That top side being $111,000. That's going to be that big top side liquidity that we're going to try to grab after we clear out all of the liquidity in our zone here. Let's zoom this on out a little bit further. Take a look at that 2 week. 2 week looking quite similar. We have all of this liquidity that is piled up towards the top side, a very broad range here from 111,400 all the way down to 111,000. So about a $500 zone with liquidity all piled up. Definitely a nice spot to come back up to after we clear out all of the liquidity in our sideways zone here. Let's hop over to the economic calendar because we do have quite a bit that is coming out this week. Scroll it on up. As you can see, we do have some housing starts that will be coming out of Canada this morning. Not a massive market mover, but definitely something I will be keeping my eye on. Scroll it on down just a little bit. And we have that Bank of Japan interest rate decision this evening at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be keeping my eye on that. Not expecting anything too drastic from that. Looking like they're probably going to be holding those rates steady at 0.5%. Scroll it on down. We do get tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Time, going to be our import-export prices. Also getting retail sales month over month. That is going to be a big market mover for tomorrow morning. I would expect after we get Japan's interest rate decision, a lot of preparing for tomorrow morning's data drop. Scrolling on down just a little bit more, at 9:15 Eastern Time tomorrow, we will be getting industrial production month over month and year over year. Another big market mover, business inventories month over month as well, and the housing market index. So a lot of heavy data drops coming out tomorrow. Japan in the evening will get their balance of trade as well. Scroll it on down just a little bit further. We get some more data coming out of that European Union core inflation rate year over year final and CPI final. That'll be at 5 a.m. Eastern time. Wednesday is going to be a very big data drop day as well for the United States. In the morning at 8:30 Eastern time, we will be getting our building permits prelims, our housing starts, looking like a slowdown on those housing starts. Not too unexpected. We do get housing starts month over month as well as initial jobless claims on Wednesday. And then that big market mover for Wednesday is going to be that federal interest rate decision. Looking like no change for us as well. That big one's going to be the Fed press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, where we kind of hear what they're looking at going forward. I do have some bets in on no interest rate change for this week, and I've got bets in on no interest rates changed for the next decision as well. So put my money where I'm telling everyone on the show. No interest rate decisions going further, and maybe September we kind of see that first chance of an interest rate change. And we also get from the United Kingdom an interest rate decision from them as well, looking to hold steady on Thursday morning. That'll be at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So very, very heavy data drop week. Looking like next week is going to be a heavy data drop week as well. So as we move forward in the week, we will try to keep you guys prepared. Oh, I see Buck in the chat. Good morning, sir. If you're, man, you guys do it early. Yes, we do, Buck. Let me know if you're all joined up. We can bring you on and talk about that immersion mining, because I'm all prepped for you, and I still got those questions. So if you're ready to hop on, just shoot me a message in the Discord, and I'll bring you up. All right. Let's take a look at this Bitcoin chart, because as you can kind of see here, we did make a bit of a lower high here on the daily. Let's zoom it on in so you can get that better look. After our last little pump towards the upside, we've got this nice strong rejection off of our golden pocket here on our fib extensions. Kind of looking to see if we can hold this range we had talked about last week. That was at 106,800 to 106,000 as some support. A giant area that I was kind of looking for to kind of come back to. We had a lot of liquidity in that area, and I now want to see us hold that up. We are looking like we're coming back down for a little bit of a test of those levels. We do have a peak seeker here on the daily, so waiting to kind of see if that comes with a little more sell off, as we do have that bearish divergence that is stacked up here on the daily as well. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that as our volume continues to peter off here on the daily. Money flow still looking quite green though, so that's that one little hold up here on the daily that can kind of keep us moving in this sideways range. MACD and Prime Oscillator both moving quite sideways here. Let's zoom this on in. Take a look at that 4 hour. Looking like we have a little bit more room to run towards the upside before we might need to see some cool off. 4 hours sitting directly above that area. I want to see us hold as support. We made a bit of a fair value gap here as well. So looking to try to hold up this range. Might see us at least retest the bottom side, coming in at that $106,000 mark. Let's zoom this on in. Take a look at the hourly and see what we're looking at for the day here. Buck says he is on. Let's get us hopped over there to that dual screen. Get him pulled up for you. All right here. Yeah. Good morning, Buck. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Can you hear me, sir?
Oh, let me get that sound turned up. There you go. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
It is bright and early, isn't it? Beat the
Holy
sun.
shit, man. It's way too freaking early.
Yeah, that's how I feel every morning. It's definitely a time zone though, because you get that pre-market, and that's why I always liked to be up early. Now people just get to see the pre-market when I'm going through the pre-market data.
Makes sense.
You get your coffee.
Um, it's still making. I took the dogs out for morning potty. That's why I'm a little bit late getting over here. She didn't want to come back inside, but the coffee's almost done. So I might have to like bounce into the other room for 30 seconds when it's ready.
Well, no worries there. We still got this Bitcoin chart to get through. So, yeah, I'm going to have to mute my mic anytime Buck's talking so I get rid of that echo. So, yeah, I will handle that while we're going through things. So, let's hop back over to this hourly chart on Bitcoin. As you can kind of see, it does look like we're trying to retest some of those levels I had talked about. We did talk about this fair value gap that we had made on the 4 hour there, looking to kind of retest the bottom side. That's going to be that $106,000 mark. You do have very equal candle bodies coming in directly above that. That's going to be about 106,100 there. So that's that kind of area to watch for a bottom side. MACD, prime oscillator, both looking extremely toppy here. But as I was showing for the TradFi side of things, we are opening up in the green. So that might give us that little bit of a pump or at least hold up of Bitcoin's price in this fair value gap area. Let's zoom this on in to the 15-minute there, see what the morning might be bringing our way. And that 15-minute looking like you're going to see a little bit of some continued sell-off this morning. You have very, very strong resistant support around that 900 point on our moving averages. That's where we saw all of these bounces before we got that very strong push above that 106,800 point. That was kind of looking at a potential resistance area on. As you can see here, your money flow is slowing down quite a bit. Not too unexpected as we are in that switch from European markets to the American markets here. Volume slowing down as well. Prime oscillator sitting in the red, headed back towards the downside, and that MACD line crossing to the bottom side of our indicator line, and that indicator line getting that curvature back towards the downside. So looking to see if we're going to retest at least this fair value gap I had my eye on for the morning. Let's go back to that 4 hour, get that drawn out so we can kind of see where the midline of that is, so you can kind of see a potential bouncing area on the middle of it. Let's get that from candle body to candle body there. Kind of hard to draw it because it's still printing that next candle. So we do have a bit of an area here to kind of retest. We will see once that 4 hour candle really closes what that fair value gap actually is. I think we're going to try to make that fair value gap a little narrower this morning before we get that move back towards the upside and grab some of that top side liquidity that's sitting right above this candle wick at that $107,000 mark. I see you got your coffee there, Buck. Cheers on that, and cheers to everyone else in the chats here. And get your coffee, prep for the morning.
So you start this daggone thing every morning at like 5:30 or whatever every morning? You crazy bastard.
Yep. I wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, get all prepped, try to do a little bit of a workout, get my lunch ready for the day, and then start the show. And then basically when the show ends, I have to head out the door and go to work. It's quite a crunch time for me in the mornings. So
I respect the grind, man. That's pretty freaking badass.
hey, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. Hopefully here, I can get that new job going, and then I can go back to going live at 6:30 in the morning because I'm not the biggest fan of this. It is quite a bit of a crunch time, and I've lost a bit of viewership in the mornings switching to this new time frame, which isn't too unexpected, you know.
Makes sense. It is daggum early. Most normal human beings that aren't crazy are still sleeping right now. But as you can see, your chat is popping, so there are a bunch of crazy bastards out here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, a lot of people sitting on the East Coast, they got to get to work bright and early, the same way I do. So for them, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and if they're going to work at 7 a.m., then they're heading out the door here in about 30 minutes. So it kind of works out quite nicely.
Nice.
All right, let me get my questions pulled up for you because I had quite a few. I know we wanted to skip over one of those. You talked a bit about it yesterday on Crypto Billy's show. Did a great job over there. Didn't get as nerdy as I would like, but that's why you're on here this morning.
I do like to go full-fledged nerd sometimes, man.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sure you loved some of those questions I had sent over to you.
Agreed. Agreed.
All right. So that first one, as you know, what led you to choose immersion mining over the traditional air cooled, which, has kind of been phased out, or that next gen hydro cooled setup?
So there's still a bunch of people using air cooled as well, right? It all has to do with where you're mining at and
It looks like he dropped just a second. We will try to get him back. There we go. He is back. Let me get him pulled back up there.
wow.
Uh, there we go. You dropped out for a second. I don't know what happened, but you're all pulled back up.
Okay, what I was saying was that there people still are running air cooled, and they're also running immersion, and they're also running hydro units, right? So the air cooled units just don't get the same amount of push, especially in Texas, where you're running where it's hot. If you're running air cooled, they can shut themselves down just by overheating, and it's really hard to keep those suckers running when we get the 105, 107, 110 degree temperature down here in different parts of Texas in the summertime. But with the immersion setups, you can run them really daggum hot. So as long as I've got the correct loop set up and I'm blowing fans across the radiators and cooling that fluid down, I can run those through crazy heat scenarios. I think water is going to be the way eventually when they actually figure out how to put it together on the hydro setups and make it safe. But at this point, there's just not quite there yet. So I'm really loving the immersion fluid. It doesn't transfer any kind of electricity, so you don't have to worry about tearing anything up. You can keep the temperatures cooler. The only thing I hate about the immersion fluid is depending on the model of fluid, you can get breakouts from it. So like when I first started working on helicopters in the Marine Corps back in the day, I would get hydraulic fluid on my arms from doing hydraulic fluid samples and working on actuators and stuff like that. And I would start to break down. Not break down. I'd get like rashes on my arm or whatever. Well, the immersion fluid's got the same principles to it. So if I don't wear my scary looking glove apron outfit thing, I end up getting breakouts, from my skin from that stuff. So that's the one thing I don't like about it, but it's pretty good to manage that heat dissipation.
Hey, I liked the pictures. You looked like you were straight out of Breaking Bad, but you're working on computers, making the same kind of margins. You don't gotta risk your freedom to in Break Bad. You just get to look like a nerd in Break Bad.
Well, margins aren't as good as that kind of stuff, but mining crypto is pretty nice margins, but nothing's comparing with those kind of margins, right?
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about the ending scenes of Breaking Bad where it's like, yeah, I got that machine gun in the trunk and we're trying to protect ourselves. It's like the worst you got to worry about is maybe like a shortage of a computer, and you get in there, and you're like, okay,
You
well,
don't
we
drive
got.
around with a machine gun in your trunk? I thought everybody did.
Hey, I don't have my tax stamp,
Okay,
so
Texas should be fine. That's
or
one of the reasons I'm in Texas.
I also don't have my class 3 weapons license either. And I'm not sure they'd give it to me anymore.
Yeah, that class of three thing is not really something you want to mess around with. That gives that old ATF the way to come in your house anytime they want and just randomly check your stuff. So like, class three is definitely not the way to go.
No, I don't think it's worth it for the dollar point. The way you really want to do it is just get wealthy enough that it doesn't matter. You're like, okay, give me the fine, I'll pay it on the back end.
Yes, or the FFL owns it and you own part of the FFL, that kind of thing. That tends to work too for people.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I did have a few other questions on that whole immersion mining. Uh, let's get into that second question there. It's what kind of improvements have you seen in machine longevity and efficiency with immersion mining? I know you started off pretty simple and you did a little redneck finagling of a pool heater. How did that really get you into that whole immersion mining? And how have you seen this kind of improve along your journey from that first little setup towards what you have now?
So I'm seeing an increase on terahash by itself of at least 25 to 35% on each machine, depending on the type of machine. So like the S19K Pros, those are running up close to 160, 165 terahash on a 105 terahash unit, right? So like I've had those run as high as 160. That's crazy. That's crazy additional numbers when that thing is not even made to do that. So just something as easy as taking all your fans, your fan boards apart, pulling everything down, stripping it down, taking all its clothes off of it and dunk it in a solution. You're telling me that I'm going to get an extra 40 to 50 terahash all day long by running those overclock? That's crazy, right? When I figured that out, I was like, oh, all right, well, let's play games, right? So then you start playing with different things and messing with stuff. Honestly, my favorite on the switchover right now is the S21, not the XP, but the S21 immersion. The thing's rated at 215 is what it comes out of the box. It says it's supposed to get up to 300 overclocked if you're going to overclock it, but like consistently we're getting 312, 310, 315 out of those things all day long. That's pretty sweet, man. And most units you can do it. There have been a couple of issues with finding out that certain units were not good for throwing in immersion fluid. But that's a trial and error type thing that you find out real quick. The good news is, since it's immersion fluid, you're not actually breaking the unit. You just got to clean it back up, wipe everything down. My son does not like it when we have issues like that because he knows that he's going to be stuck pulling everything apart, cleaning everything, and wiping every component. I've got a son that just graduated high school, and in my Marine Corps ways, I still trying to treat him like a private. So, he gets to do all the crap work.
Hey, that's what's the point of having kids if not for cheap labor,
Exactly.
I tease, but that's how it used to be. You have like 8 kids, and you get very cheap farm labor.
Dude, my dad had me on job sites from like 12 on digging ditches. And I remember thinking, Dad, what? Really? Just dig? He's like, shut up, boy. Just go over there and dig. Keep going. I'm like, oh, it sucks. And then he never want to pay me either. So, quality work with no pay.
Yeah, but it teaches you some work ethic there. So
I think when I asked him about it, I think his reply was, you owe me your life, kid. And I'm like, God, this sucks.
I mean, he's not wrong. He did bring you into the world, and he's gonna teach you. He's gonna teach you how to manage the world, and part of that is having some very good work ethic. And it's good that you're trying to pass that along. It'll also make your kids never want to do something like that again. They're like, hey, I don't like this grunt work, so how do I not be a grunt?
Well, okay, you would think that's the way it worked, but it actually went opposite, right? So like I got a scholarship to play ball in college. Went to college and I thought like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. And I decided I wanted to be a special ed teacher because like I had some behavior disorder issues growing up, right? I wasn't a very nice child. So I thought, hey man, perfect spot. Let's do this. There needs to be more men in that part of the business to get after it. And then like the first time I got into teaching, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna go to jail. Like I'm gonna kill some kids. There's no way I could do this, right? But then while I was in college, I was working blue collar, and then I was like, all right, I joined the Marine Corps and then kept pulling in every duty station. I worked as a plumber while I was in the Marine Corps. And like, I just kept going harder and harder in the blue collar life. And then what I found out was, man, as a blue collar worker, I was making 80 grand a year working for somebody else, as long as I was willing to do work that other people weren't willing to do. So like as a 20-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid, I was making $80,000 a year plummet. That's crazy, right? Comparatively. And this is back in, I sound old as hell. This is the early 2000s, right? So while in the Marine Corps, being a plumber, going to the reserves, being a plumber, and I kind of found that the blue collared life of doing stuff that people weren't willing to do, you can make a lot of money pretty quick, as long as you were willing to work and get after it. And you didn't have to be the best; you just had to be the tallest midget, right? Because a lot of the guys that got into those businesses, they didn't quite have it together, if that makes sense. So they, some drinking issues, some drug issues, things like that. So it was easy to beat a lot of those guys out for those spots and those contracts.
Most definitely. I mean, I dropped out of high school and went to go work in the oil field. So at like 19 years old, I was making like $70,000 a year. So I know exactly what you mean there. It is definitely not the way people do things anymore, though. But on that last question, you kind of started touching on that next question I really had for you, which is what are the unique challenges and maintenance concerns when it comes to immersion setups? Because I know there's a lot more curtailment that you have to do when you're getting these immersion machines set up. But like on the back end, it kind of leads to a little less maintenance that you have to do as opposed to something that's air cooled or water cooled.
So the curtailment cycle itself is not going to change, right? Because that's all based on the grid. So when the grid needs your extra power and you've signed up for curtailment to get your average kilowatt hour cost down by curtailing at certain points, that's going to be the same no matter whether it's immersion, air cooled, or hydro. Now, some of the maintenance stuff that has to happen is like the biggest thing is the daggum fans, right? So the fans, you're going to run the immersion fluid to like through a pump and then run that pump to a fan and go through a radiator and cool it off with the radiator, right? Well, those fans are electric fans, run on phase setups, right? And the way that they had the Sumner tank set up where you had one fan that was the main control and then 3 secondary fans or whatever, where if one of the secondary fans broke, like no big deal, other 3 would run. If one of the primary fans like broke on the main leg, all 4 fans would go out. That's actually been the most pain in the butt thing with all the systems, the way that they set up the fan systems, because one fault on a main fan kills everything. It just doesn't have a lot of redundancy on it. So I've been working through a way of tying in the systems like first in, last out, like in a boiler room, to where all of the fans work together outside of the Connex box to make sure if you've got one down, then the rest of them can still keep up. The other thing was the super cheap pumps that come on the Connex boxes or the stuff from overseas, because like everything is a Chinese thing made, most of it, right? So like all of this stuff is Chinese crap from overseas. And it sucks, right? So swapping out pumps, going with the new Grumpus pumps, doing oil rated pumps, things like that, to make sure that you're not dealing with substandard parts, because it looks really cool when it comes, right? It's there, it's awesome. Oh, look at this really neat thing. And then when you start digging into the components, you're like, oh yeah, that's a Chinese piece of crap. Oh yeah, that's another Chinese piece of crap. Oh, well, that's dog crap. So swapping out all of the little crappy things and making it better, even down to the type of fuses that you have, like these big, huge barrel fuses, right? It's like $400 for a set of 10 of them that are 30 amp fuses, but these like the size you put in your car, but it's just big industrial fuses. Well, why would you use that? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like 10 years ago, okay, but like so somebody physically has to go pop a fuse, pull it out. You're worried about getting an arc hit while you're doing it. Like that's it's just silly, right? So it's all kinds of silly little stuff of the way some of these manufacturers put together their stuff that you go, oh, that's not great. Let's go ahead and upgrade and do a little better, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I you touched on a big thing where it's like a lot of these Chinese products, they're like, yeah, it's cheap, but the manufacturing quality is way lower than what you would want if you're doing something on an industrial scale. It's fine if you want to do something super small and it's like, "Oh yeah, I have one computer and it's not pushing out the same kind of like pressure the way that a giant immersion mining setup is." So it's like, okay, if you want to cheap out on your own computer build, go ahead. But if you want to cheap out on a giant thing that's supposed to be making you, say, $200,000 a year, it might bite you in the butt.
Right. Just like anything else, they want to sell their gear. So how cheap can they make cheap and you still buy it, right? And then you buy it and you get to work on it, and half of these guys don't even know what they're doing. That's the funny part. That's the funniest part about this whole Bitcoin mining thing. You got a lot of dudes that jumped in this space that just had a bunch of cash, and they were like, I want to be in Bitcoin mining. Here's $1 million. Here's $2 million. Let's go buy a bunch of equipment. And they put a bunch of crap on the ground, and they have no idea how to take care of it. They don't even know how to run it. They just got the middle of nowhere. They set up a green site and they started running stuff. And lo and behold, a couple of years down the road, all their crap stops working, or is running at 70% or 60% efficiency and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, man, like, I'm sorry, but you were stupid. Like, I got it that you had money and you wanted to get into a business, but maybe set up your business like a business and take care of your stuff.
Yep, and I mean, mining is definitely a business, and it's not how it used to be. I remember when you could chain together three GPUs on a motherboard, and then you chain those motherboards together, and you got let's say 12 GPUs that are all running in sequence, and you could mine Bitcoin efficiently from your home, and it didn't really matter what your power costs were because Bitcoin's price greatly surpassed that. But now you're playing a numbers game that is like so complex that most people just don't even get into it.
Well, back in the day, like when I first got introduced to Bitcoin, it was because I was playing in the black hat SEO space, right? And so we were paying people to build bots for us, and all those guys would want to get paid with Bitcoin or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, so I thought Bitcoin was just for paying shady people buying drugs. Because like at the time you could buy, weed, coke, whatever you wanted on the Silk Road, and then you pay these shady dudes in Bitcoin. So I thought all was for, and I didn't think anything of it, man. I paid people in Bitcoin quite a few times and never held on to any of it because I thought it was just, it was for shady people and drugs. So until I saw the major funds come back around and get into it, like I honestly didn't think there was anything going to come out of it. And then over the years, I just watched and went, geez, maybe I missed the boat. Yeah, I think I definitely missed the boat. Yeah, I missed the boat. And then as soon as I heard that they were putting big money ETFs involved in the Bitcoin space, I was like, all right, man, that's it. Full fledged. Let's go. We're going to launch a mining company. And this is what we're going to do because this is no shit real business that's getting involved in that. And my point to that is like the way the conference looked this year. Look at what's happened. You went from guys running around using a laptop, a GPU, doing things like that, to where now you have companies building industrial equipment with real engineers, with real money, with big money behind their build outs, right? And they're actually getting into it and making it like a no crap industrial business, to where these guys are putting some major money behind the way that they're putting their stuff out. And when you see that kind of dollars thrown at engineering and equipment and facilities and stuff like that, it's a business that's not going away. So anybody who goes, well, don't you think Bitcoin just might go away? And I'm like, you've lost your daggum mind. Like, you don't understand the amount of money that's built into this infrastructure at this point.
See, and at the end of the day, when it comes to that whole mining side of things, it's how can I sell basically energy in the most efficient way? And that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people don't think about it like that.
Yeah, it's 100% an energy play. And then a lot of people are doing a combo of Bitcoin mining, crypto mining along with the AI. The problem with the AI is, right, to have a good AI contract, you have to have three sources of power that are overlapping. You have to have all of your environmental issues squared away. You got to have multiple internet connections, and you can't ever go down with and keep some of those contracts. And there's all these rules that go involved in making sure that your AI infrastructure is set up right. Well, you know, it doesn't have those rules. Bitcoin. You know what kind of machine can slam shut? Like I can hit a switch and kill every machine right now, and then hit a switch and they all come back up really with no problems. Like you might have one or two that you got to go in there and play with and reboot and, you know, mess with your power settings. But you can hard stop, you can slam it down, you can turn it on and turn it off to take up extra power. Like look at Texas. At Texas, you've got all of these places you're generating power using wind and all these alternative power sources, but they don't have the battery capability to store that energy, right? So like when they don't need the power, there's so much extra power left over. When they need the power, holy crap, the state of Texas really needs that power. So like, why not look at using your Bitcoin miners or big enough facilities set up to IoT sensors that are reading meters to be able to auto shut down, just like a curtailment type cycle, right? Like that, it just makes sense. You can do all kinds of things by using that power and giving the state the ability to produce more power because you're using that power during that time. And then when the state needs it, there's no reason to have a brownout. There's no reason to have like, I mean, the snowmageddon we got a couple of years ago, there was people in South Texas getting $3,000 power bills because of the difference in power cost when it got spiked so bad. Like that's crazy. That makes no sense at all. And if you've got something like a Bitcoin miner that can fix or help out with that situation, why not do it?
I know there was a lot of talk back this past winter about how Bitcoin miners really helped out when they ended up putting their miners off the grid. And they were like, you know what? I'm going to make a little bit of money for you to take the power that you actually need.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helped the grid out a bunch. So I know it. I had a few more questions. We might have to have you come back on here because it is 5:27 and almost time to wind the show down. We push over to Billy Goat Tales, a morning motivational video. And as Billy just said, he was like, so if this is early for Buck, that means he's never watched a Billy Goat Tales morning motivational video. Probably not.
I catch him after, promise.
Start your day off with it instead of catching it live. Well, now you get to be in the chat for it, and then you can go to sleep afterwards.
My favorite way to start the morning is a little bit of ninja time with the Otterman, right? Like that gets me motivated, gets me going first thing in the morning. I love watching him trade.
See, and by the time I'm watching Alexo Crypto, I've been up for like 4 hours. So it's like I'm already prepped and ready for some Alexo Crypto time.
Nice.
Now you'll be on my schedule. Yes, we're definitely going to have you back on to touch more on that because I know you got some other projects in the work and would love to touch on those, especially as things get a little bit closer to hitting the ground and actually launching. There's a lot I know you're doing in the background because we've had quite a few talks.
BC's my homie.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to tease anything that you might have your eye on for this week.
Not yet. There's some fun stuff in the works. Let's just put it that way. And I've met some really interesting people in this business, and it took a while to figure out who was real and who was full of shit, right? So you kind of sit back in the cut and you wait and you let people run their mouths and see what they say, and eventually you figure out who's actually real and who's not real. And I've met some pretty interesting people. It looks like some stuff might be coming together.
Well, I look forward to hearing all about it, and I know the rest of the Piper Academy does too. So, you got anything you want to leave the people with before I wind it on down?
Hoorah, kill baby.
All right. Well, I look forward to having you on again. Thank you to everyone that tuned in this morning. Hope to see y'all Tomorrow morning, we will talk more about that macro data because, as I said at the beginning of the show, it is a heavy data drop week. I do expect a lot of fake outs to be happening. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the Piper Academy. We got that morning market report. Piper is back this week, so make sure to tune into that one at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We got Trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto for all you late night folk at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.